just came back from the 50th anniversary of the Unitarian Universalist Association. I was there as a delegate and as a volunteer for the Accessibilities team and as a minister. And it was really, really fun. One of the things that I really noted a lot while I was there was how democracy was working and changing within our faith. Democracy and having a say in what happens to us is part of our ethics. We are not a covenantal, we are not a creedal faith, we are a covenantal faith, and we covenant around principles which you can find in the beginning of your gray hymnal. The fifth principle says, Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. This binds our faith. Striving for inclusivity in that democratic process is an ongoing struggle to become aware of unaware oppression and to adjust our attitudes and actions. The General Assembly Planning Committee endeavors to make our gatherings accessible to all. And this year, they had a new committee, and I don't actually know the name of it. It may be the Integrity Team, which offers consultation to the GA Planning Committee from several identity groups representing marginalized people. And that includes organizations like DRUM, which is the Organization for UU People of Color, Interweave, for people of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, questioning, and allies. LUNA, which is the Latino organization. TRUST, which is the transgender organization, and the anti-racism allies for racial equality. So there's really a more intentional effort in trying to figure things out. So I have some stories related to my experiences there, just little snippets for you of things that I observed. One of the best things about General Assembly is Ginny Porter, the moderator. So we have a president of our association and a moderator. And the moderator presides over the board meetings and presides over the business meetings at General Assembly. And Ginny Porter is a legend, is a phenomenon. One of the great things you can do now is go online at uua.org and find videos of all the plenary sessions, the business meetings, and the worships, and many of the workshops. You can go on and you can read articles, and you can read scripts, and you can see videos of many of the things that happened at General Assembly. So even if you weren't able to go, you can see it. You can also purchase CDs that would be sent to you, or I purchased an MP3 file which will be sent to me of all the sessions. So it's accessible to all of us, even if we can't go. And I recommend you watch some of them. So Ginny Porter is a wonderful equalizer, partly because she uses humor extremely well. So what could be really boring, deadly meetings are always exciting. Now they have musical interludes, which helps it go along too. And our friend Kelly from Valley UU in Chandler led the music at General Assembly this year, and she will again next year when it's in Phoenix. So she said, I have to hang around all the time because I never know when Ginny's going to call on me to lead another song. And Ginny would say, I think we need a song, don't you? And we'd get some music. But she's hilarious. She's really funny. And that just kind of keeps the mood light and keeps our attention on what's going on. She's also amazing with the use of language. So we can get, some of us, a little over-intellectual sometimes. But whenever there was a word that was being used that might be difficult for some in attendance to understand, she would just explain it. And whenever she was talking or explaining, she used very direct and simple language, so it made the meetings accessible to everyone. So she is a treasure, and she has another year or two, and then we'll be electing a new moderator. Another thing that came up was the transgender restroom. So someone came to the accessibility table about halfway through GA last week and said, there's no transgender restroom. We need that. It isn't safe for me. I don't know what to do. And so through lots of making phone calls and talking to people who knew and finding out who does what, and including the integrity team, we found out that there had been a transgender restroom designated. It hadn't been very well advertised. It was the men's room next to the Starbucks in the community, in the convention center. There were restrooms all over the place. Now, last year in Minnesota, there was a family bathroom, which was designated, which is perfect. But this convention center didn't have any family bathrooms. So they had set aside the men's room, and so we went around to where there was supposed to be a sign, and there was a sign, but it had been placed halfway between the men's room and the women's room. That didn't help. That didn't help at all. So we realized that there was a one-seater within the volunteer office at the convention center. And so we made that the designated bathroom so that lots of people are going in and out, because one of the issues is being outed as a transgender person against your wishes. And so if it's a transgender bathroom, I think the sign said gender neutral bathroom. But I spoke to a transgender friend of mine who said, really, unisex is the best language to use because it's known by everyone. We all will use a unisex bathroom, so anyone going in there is not outed by doing it. It's important that it be a one-seater because people don't feel safe. They feel vulnerable to attack if there are others in the bathroom, and it could be an identified female and an identified male in the bathroom together, so one-seater. So we got that sorted out. Not very good on the communication. So next year, the GA Planning Committee will do a better job with that because we want to be completely welcoming and accessible to all people. We had a demonstration on Friday afternoon standing on the side of love, which is the public witness arm for equality of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We had a rally for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual rights because in North Carolina they were just introducing legislation to outlaw gay marriage. And someone said, well, it's going to be hard for the people with physical disabilities to do this 2-mile walk to the park. And so the original plan was to have a rally on site on the street corner by the convention center as well. And someone said, well, that's kind of separate but equal, isn't it? That isn't really making it accessible. That's keeping us, we don't get to hear the speakers. So it was a big deal, and over the course of 3 days there was lots of debate amongst various groups going on about how to do this. Finally, the Standing on the Side of Love committee said they would reimburse people for taxi rides. Which helped a lot, but as the person in charge of accessibility pointed out, you have to have the cash to pay up front. And so economic accessibility is an issue in the Unitarian Universalist faith. One person made a very insensitive remark, you can't walk there, just take a town car. I haven't heard that word town car before. I think it's a fancy taxi. But there aren't very many accessible taxis in Charlotte, and they haven't been organized to help us. So eventually, we did get a few people on taxis, and then some of us from the team walked along with the scooters to help people make sure they got there. And they did. And it was kind of a steep slope down to where the speakers were. And so we had to sort of shepherd them, make sure only one person tipped over, but no injury. And then at the very end of the rally, which was short and sweet, which I love, there was a downpour of rain, a total downpour of rain. So all these electric scooters are out there and running for their lives. All of them made it back. Some of them went with me in the tail end, and we went in through the NASCAR museum building because it had a bridge across to the convention center, and so we could go indoors for more of the way. They were just closing, so the security guard there was very kind to help us. And so they all made it back, but then about 5 of the scooters wouldn't run the next day.